Welcome to Autism Knows No Borders. Discover what's possible when people impacted by autism inspire change and build community. Together with the Global Autism Project, here's your host, Rachel Harmon.
Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Michael Huang. Michael is the president and co-founder of UPlus Academy, an autism center in Nanjing, China. With a background in IT, Michael describes the moment when he discovered he could utilize his multimedia technologies to help children with autism. It was fascinating to learn about the ways he and his staff are using 3D mapping rooms to teach communication and generalization in the natural environment. The Global Autism Project partnered with UPlus in January 2019. Since then, we have sent 3 SkillCorps volunteer teams to provide clinical training to their teachers. We have also created an authorization curriculum to administer the 6 courses required by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. Earlier this year, we learned of the impact the coronavirus was having on our partners in China. We immediately scheduled video calls and closely worked together to create solutions for their students in quarantine. Now, 3 months after they were forced to close their centers, Michael shares the current situation in his region, as well as his determination to not lay off any of his staff amidst the crisis. By offering online parent training, the staff at UPlus have motivated parents to transition to home programming. They even created an app for parents to track their children's progress. In this episode, discover what's possible when innovative technology empowers parents to interact with their children in new, creative ways. You can find links to learn more about Michael and UPlus on our show notes at autismknowsnoborders.com. And now, I present you Michael Huang. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hi, Rachel.
Before we discuss the work you do, could you explain the attitudes and understanding of autism in China?
Yes, because China is a big country and also is a developing country. So that we have 1.4 billion people, and according to our statistics, let's say 2014, that we have 10 million people with autism issue, and there will be about 2 million young kids, young children, and there will be also, every year that we have 17 million newborns in China. So it's just about 1% of them will be diagnosed for autism issue, but we will have, a big number increase every year. So right now in China, there we have more and more people or parents or governments or some organizations that realize that we have some rights or we have a better and better understanding of what autism is. So most parents, once they find that the child they have something unusual, they will bring the child to hospital. So the doctors will give some suggestion, or they can do some assessment, and they can give some diagnosis, something like the likelihood of what kind of a percentage or what kind of possibility for the child to be autism. So we can say there were more and more people realize autism is something really affecting a lot of Chinese families. But the greatest thing is that because right now China is not, we are just get more and more open, so we can have a lot of communication with America, with some many Western countries. So that people are just, especially for some teachers or therapists or doctors, they just realized that there was some therapy or treatment plans or some good theory, something like ABA, will be helpful for the autistic children, so that we have more and more people just be involved in the supporting to the Chinese families or those parents to give them help.
And what age range are children being diagnosed?
Well, right now, normally that will be from 18 months to maybe 6 years old, or some parents, they bring the child to hospital at 8 even, because, most parents, when they find that the child is something different, they don't want anybody to know that. So they want to hide it. So when you're going to enter kindergarten, or especially when you want to go to the elementary school, the school will give you some assessment or give you some test. That's the things happening in China. So maybe the teacher will deny your application. So you have to bring the child to hospital.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that parents don't want to reveal that their child has autism. Is there still a stigma in the community?
Well, yes, because China is still a very traditional country, especially for our culture. It's not like something, if you have something wrong, or if your child has some problem or not as good as other children, normally the parents will not let others know. They will just try to show only the best moment on their WeChat group or on the social media. Even in our company, that we also have some employees that their child has some diagnosed with autism issue. So the couple, they have two children. The one is a girl, another is a boy. But the brother has already been diagnosed for autism about, let's say, even 10 years. So when they go outside for shopping or any time, so if they met some friends, the father will leave immediately. Will leave the mom and the boy right there, and the father will bring the daughter to somewhere else. So just pretend that they didn't know the boy. So we actually, we merely see people on social media say, okay, my son or my girl has autism issue. Normally, most parents, they won't let anybody know that.
So parents are seeking out services for their children, but they're not yet willing to speak up
No,
and spread awareness.
you're right. Yeah, but that's why we always just keep, trying to tell these parents. So if you speak out, you can get more help. So if you just try to hide it, you will not feel happy for yourself. That will be a big pressure on your shoulder every single day.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about how you're supporting parents at your center. But before we get there, I want to ask how you began working with this population.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because my background is almost an IT guy. So me and my brother, we started our business from 2000 after I graduated. So our business was just mainly in the multimedia programming, software, those kind of fields, or system integration. Because we created a lot of things for the, let's say, interactive technology, something like interactive projection, or something like multiple touch or 3D mapping. We apply those technologies to exhibition industry, for the showrooms, for the museums, and also we created something for education purpose for some schools and center.
Mm-hmm. Could you describe a little bit more in detail of what one of those exhibitions would look like and how your technology is presented?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, for example, especially for the museums, because of the traditional museum, it just use a post or some printed material to tell you a story, to tell you the history or something. But when we apply to multimedia technologies, we can make those material to be vivid. For example, when we introduce something like space, we can use projectors to project on the both sides of the walls, and we just connect all the images together. So when you stand in the center, you can feel like you're just in the universe, and the room will be full dark. And so you can see how the star moves, how the planet moves. And so you're just like sitting in a spaceship.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's just one of the technologies. Because we also have something like what we call is an interactive floor or interactive projection system. That could be a projection screen on the floor. It could be a fish pond. So when you step into the water, but the water is just an image projected from the projector. And then there will be waves under your feet. And so where you walk, and there could also be some fish just swim around you. And when you try to step on the fish will swim away. So those kind of technologies will give you immersive experience. And that can also bring some static traditional display to be interactive, to be immersive. So we just applied lots of those technologies to museums and also for exhibitions, because many exhibitors, they want their booths to be attractive. So you use big screens and use multiple touch screens. You use some gesture control systems. Also, for recent years, there will also be virtual reality, augmented reality, or even mixed reality. So there are different technologies could be applied. So that's our business. That's still our business. But most of our clients are overseas clients. We actually have much more business outside China. So we have some clients. We noticed that it's about maybe 8 or 7 years ago that we have some clients from some special education schools and also from some hospitals like Kaiser Permanente in San Diego, and also some education center from Estonia, from UK, and also from Japan. And at the very beginning, we just noticed that there were some clients, they bought our interactive projection products. They bought our multiple touch program. So we just thought they use those to entertain children. That might be install that into the lobby only, so into the waiting area to calm down children or to give them some entertainment way. But when we do some research, we notice that they actually use the system in their therapy rooms. So they use those tools to give treatment to train children with autism. So because we also have an company in America, in Las Vegas, because in Las Vegas there are a lot of shows every year. So we just did some research there as well. Meanwhile, we also did some research in China. The initial purpose to do this is just to explore whether there will be some business opportunities. But meanwhile, we just noticed that after we compare the research result from America and from China, we just find a big impact to us, because we just realized that the two countries, children with, or we can say not only children, but also for all the adults as well, there will be a huge difference. Because in America, that most families, they can get treatment from their insurance. Insurance can cover maybe part of the expense. And also there are many BCBA, there are many RBTs. But in China, because we don't have such major in universities, we don't have applied behavior analysis, we don't have such lessons or course or major in China. So it will be pretty hard for us to find something from the scientific research. So, but there's still a lot of people and more parents, they realize that the children need some professional treatment. But unfortunately, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough behavior analysis, and we don't have enough special education teachers. So the first thing we plan to do is that, if we can help some families, it won't be a business. It's something that we can do it for quite a long time until someone can really heal the autism. So we just cooperated with a company called Relaus Learning, because they have RBT curriculum, and also it's an online system. So that would be very good for us to promote in China, because we noticed that the first thing we need to do is to educate as many teachers as we can to help those families, because we need professionals in China.
Right. Yes.
Yes. And we also did a lot of work to translate everything. under BCBA's help and also some BCBAD's help from Relance Learning and also from our side, we work together to make it to be in Chinese. And so we just promote it and we give the free lessons to 1,000 Chinese teachers. And those teachers are mainly already been in these fields. I mean, they just work daily with autistic children.
Okay, so you were teaching them ABA strategies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And at the very beginning, we give them for free. And but later, we just noticed that if you give something free, people they may think, okay, that's free, so I can learn it today, I can learn it tomorrow.
Yep.
So that might not be, not everybody will be on the same page or same path too. So later, we just begin to charge, but that's another story. But when we just teach these teachers in China, that we also notice that might not be good enough. We can still do more. So we began to discuss with some centers to see whether we can work together to see whether we can import the professional or some systematic training system to China. We can try, or we can see, because for most Chinese autism centers, they know ABA, but they still argue a lot about whether ABA will actually work.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want them to know what the real ABA is. That might not be happening in America, but that's happening here in China. So we just we hired an American teacher and we sent an American teacher to China to work closely on a daily basis with Chinese teachers. And we just make a room. The room, what we call is a UPlus Academy room in the center. So the first center, they have about 200 students. And we just serve 5 students in our small room. It's about 6 by 6 meters. So it's almost 36 square meters room.
Mm-hmm.
So we begin to teach those students, and we can see very positive feedback. And also, not only for the children, they got very good progress, and we can also see parents' positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us more confidence to do, and also that also give more confidence to the center. So we spent 6 months with this center, and then we just moved to another center to increase the numbers so that we can help. So we helped then about 16 students in second center for another 6 months. So the reason for us to do that, because we still need to try it to make sure the ABA can actually work here in China. And the Chinese teachers, they can do that. So at the very beginning, for the first 6 months, the American teacher will just work hand by hand with the Chinese teachers. So for the second 6 months, we just ask the American teacher to be supervisor only and also give training. So we just let the Chinese teachers to do everything. And we can also see very good results, especially, when one boy, he actually stayed in that center for 2 years, but he still cannot pronounce a single word. And he can't call his mom or his grandma who sent him to the center every day. And he cannot even let them know that he wants to be. So I can say that 2 years wasted in the center before. And so when the boy in our classroom is about 1 month, that he can call his mom, and he even can call his grandma. So yeah, you know that feeling.
Yeah.
The mother and the grandma, they just thanked a lot to our teachers, not only the American teacher but to the Chinese teachers, with tears on her face. So that moment, just give us a strong feeling that we can actually make something meaningful, or if we call it a business, that we can make a meaningful business. That's not all the business can bring to you. Yeah, so that's give us not only the confidence, but also, that's something you can put the rest of your life, your energy onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we realize that if we can make our own center, that will be even much better. So last year, we just built our own center in Nanjing, and now we also have center in different cities in Changzhou, in Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have another center this year, almost ready, just because of the coronavirus pandemic. So we just delay the opening date, but next month, April, it's most likely that we will open a new center in another province. And we're also currently working with some government officials to see whether we can even make some big story happen in China.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So in 1 year, you've opened how many centers?
3 centers right now. The fourth center will be opened soon.
Mm-hmm. And how many students do you have at each center?
Well, that's really varies. It's almost about 30 students in each center.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a multimedia room at each center? What's the setup like?
Right, yes. So that's part of our features.
Mm-hmm. How do you use the technology to help the students? Like, what kind of programs do you do? And what environments do you set up?
I can give some examples that might be better to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
In China, when you just try to teach many boys or girls to pronounce something or teach them language, the teacher themselves, they need to speak again and again and again. But also China is a big country, so we have a different accent everywhere. Not every people can speak very good Chinese Mandarin, even for Chinese teachers. So that we create some program, so we record some audio. So when you click on the big touch screen, you click on the picture like a mom, and then they will say mom in Chinese, and then you can drag the picture to an area, so you can even make your own sentences.
Mm-hmm.
So for the teachers, they don't have to speak it again and again, so they won't be too tired. And then they can save the time to observe better. And then they can also, in this way, the child will just sit in front of the screen, and the teacher will just touch the screen to teach the pronunciation. And even for the child themselves, they can also try to drag or they can click by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So in this way, we can also teach them whether they can follow your orders, or we can even try to see whether they can learn by themselves.
Mm-hmm. And it's also building fine motor skills by dragging and clicking.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes, exactly. And another example is the 3D mapping room. In each center, we have one 3D mapping room because China is also, all the cities are very crowded. So it will be dangerous for you to bring the child to a hospital or to the crossroad to test, to teach them what is dangerous for you or what kind of things you need to do or what we will meet, maybe in the park or somewhere else, or maybe on the beach. So we use a 3D mapping room and we use a special camera. We just record some video in the downtown. And so we can just put everything back to our 3D mapping room. And then the teacher will let the child know that, if you, this is a traffic light, and when it turns green, that you can walk. So when it turns red, you should stop to wait. And that's real image. That will just help the child to learn before we put them to the real dangerous world.
Right, without any cars, and it looks like they're stepping on the street.
Oh, yes. There are also some other cases. For example, the interactive projection, for sure. Interactive projections is very popular, and normally, especially in our group training, when we have 5 students, normally we just compare that with traditional treatment plan. So if we ask them to sit in front of the table, they might not be very focused on what we're going to teach. They may leave, they may wrong. But when we just turn on the interactive projection, we have 5 chairs in front of the floor screen. They will just sit there, and when you call their name, and they will just enter into the playground area one by one. So we can actually teach them many things. So maybe even for different levels of students, they can participate in same interactive activity, but we can teach them different things. So for someone, maybe for their, keep their balance, or for someone, maybe to teach them the color, and for someone, maybe we teach them to how to pronounce the colors or something. So it's just in one group training, so we can try to achieve different purpose or target.
And I can imagine that having interactive technology motivates the kids to want to learn
Yes.
and it grabs their attention.
Yes. Right.
And I really like that 3D mapping room. That's a great way to generalize skills in different environments, too.
Yes.
What are the age ranges you work with now?
From 2 to 8. So most of them from 2 to 8.
Okay. What services are available for adults with autism in China?
Well, can I say that's almost a zero?
Mm.
Only some parents, what I know is that there are some parents, they just try their best to, organize some adults, some families they know. So maybe they can just open a small coffee shop, or maybe they just send them to some organization which is organized by the government, so they can send them to work there. But what I know is that there is no systematic supporting system for the adults.
Hmm. I imagine your technology being very useful for teaching vocational skills,
Hmm. Yes.
like a simulation of a coffee shop that they're working at, or whatever skills they need to learn and develop could be done in a 3D room and eventually generalized to the real environment.
Yes. Yes. Because we don't need them to wear any glasses, so that will be better for them to get familiar with the environment.
Do parents get involved in the training and the therapy? Do they come to the center and work with the kids in those different medias?
Well, no, because we just want the children to be independent in our training course. But anyway, we have plan for the parents.
Okay.
Because in China, normally the grandparents will take care of the children's daily life. So normally that's the grandmother or grandpa, they send children to centers, to our center. So for the young parents, that we give them different type of training or support. We call it parallel education.
Hmm.
So we have a program for them. We give them training. So the training is for free. And so we also give them some training plan, or it's just like homework they can do. And so they can receive the program, they can receive the individual education program on their mobile phone or any mobile devices. And they can implement that at home. It could be just maybe 2 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, because most parents they still need to work. In China, that most families, both mother and father, they need to work.
Hmm.
So they can earn money, and then when they return home, normally they will be very tired. So our plan won't occupy them too much time. But all the things they have done on the children, that they can take pictures, or they can shot a video, and they can upload that through their mobile phone to a platform. So the teachers on our side will be able to review that. And then we can make a something like what we call is just like a diary for the kids. So they can review that, and we can review that, and we can give some comments, we give reply to them. So it's just like they can have a home teacher or home doctor can give them a one-on-one support, because each center will have some limit to serve other cities' families. And even though that we have students from different cities come to, they rent apartment near the center, but we still want to give them a cost-effective way. So in this case, we use a parallel education app to give them remote support. So that's actually helped a lot when the coronavirus came for a couple of months ago. For example, in our new center in Changzhou, the center just opened for 2 months, and then it's just like a sudden death for all the schools and centers because of the coronavirus. All the parents, they have to stay at home, and they even don't know how to do that. So I just told the center's administrator, the clinical director, I just asked him not to fire anyone because we need to keep all the teachers on their duty. And meanwhile, we need to give 1 month free training to all the parents, all the 30 parents. So we force them to implement our training program, the parents only. So luckily, they followed our suggestion. So 1 month later, we began to charge them a little bit. So all of them just paid for the service. So in this case, the teachers will get better payment. All of our staff will get better payment. And so they can get also very good progress. So all the parents, they were getting more and more professional. And they can some of them even can take data by their own, because most of those children just use a VB map assessment. So we also teach the parents how to take data. Some of them even can do that.
Yeah. That's really empowering for the parents too,
Yes.
to be able to see their child's progress. Do they normally pay out of pocket, or does the government help with funding?
Well, in China, we do have government funding, but it's less than $200 per month. Still depends on where you are. So for some cities, they can give about $400 a month, but that's a maximum, as far as I know. For most cities, you can get in RMB is about 1,200 RMB, so that will be less than $200 per month. Yeah, but you need to apply, and you need to pay that first, and then you get reimbursement from the government.
I see. So you mentioned the coronavirus, and I want to talk about how that has affected your center and impacted the services you offer. So, just to give the listeners some context, we are recording this on March 26th. And for me here in Spain, this is the 14th day we've been on mandated lockdown. So, could you tell us the current situation where you are in China?
Yeah, because in China, because China is very big, the province called Hubei was a center for this coronavirus pandemic. But we are in different province. We're at the eastern part, not in the center part of China. So we're all good. We don't have many patients, and right now that we are almost zero. We've been in zero increasement, let's say, for more than 10 days. So we're not in lockdown status, but in Hubei province, almost they will be set for free 2 weeks later. So also for all the schools and centers will be opened within 1 month.
Okay, so you are not on lockdown, but you were forced to close your center.
Yeah, for the centers, it's already been closed from the end of January. All the schools and the centers were asked to close. So it's not opened yet, but will be opened within 1 month.
Okay. And you said that you didn't want to fire any of your staff. Have they all been working with your students doing remote therapy?
Yes, because we spent a lot of time training our teachers. Also, we worked a lot. We worked closely with Global Autism Project that you sent BCBAs, RBTs to China to help us. So yeah, for those teachers, well, they are very unique. We really want to keep our team, and we also know that without them, we're nothing. So we won't fire anybody, but they will just bring some financial problem for us. But we really need to do that. no matter what kind of way, but we need to keep the team.
How many staff members do you have?
We currently have around 10 to 15 teachers in each center. So right now we have more than 40 teachers in China.
And did the government in China provide any support to small businesses so that you can stay afloat during this time?
Yes, we have a less tax and we have a less fees. That's really saved, I can say, 20 or 30% of your monthly expense. So that's something good. But we still need to pay rental and we still need to pay some basic salary for sure. But that's already very good.
Mm-hmm. When you open the center again in a few weeks, right?
Yes.
April 7th?
Yes.
Do you imagine that you'll be able to continue where you left off? Or how do you imagine starting the center again?
Well, I think that will be just as usual. Also, I can see that we will have many more students in the near future because we also work closely with hospitals, with doctors, because we know that there were also some parents, they brought their children to hospitals to get diagnosis. But after diagnosis, because of all the centers are closed, so they cannot send the children to anywhere. So they're also waiting for the centers to be opened.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that we will have more inquiries, or we will have more students. And I can also see that we need to hire more teachers as well.
Now that the parents have been working with their kids at home, how do you think this is going to affect the children's progress once they start coming to the center again?
I think that the parents they will be better understand how everything works. So they will know that what the teacher taught in the center before. So they will understand, oh, actually there was something they can do. And so they will, not simply see something on the paperwork, but they can also understand the theory behind what we are working in. And so, yeah, I think there will also be better communication between parents and our teachers, and also they know what kind of service is professional. I also believe that they will refer more parents to our center.
Mm-hmm. Are you keeping the parents connected during these times?
Yes, always. Because in China, most of the parents they use WeChat as their main social media. So we just give them notification or communications through the social media platforms, because most of them are using our remote services. So the teachers just kept communicating with them to supervise them to implement the home training. But I can feel that most of the parents, they feel, they felt very tired. They feel very tired, and they know how much effort the teachers in the center they spend on their children, and yeah, they can feel for that. I can also know that most of the parents they just want to send the children to the center, but they won't give up home training. They will find the best way to keep the balance.
Interesting. Where do you see UPlus in the next few years? Are you working on any new technology?
Yes, I can see that we are going to work with government closely to give the training to more teachers. And we also are going to implement the remote supporting system to more families. There are also many families. They may live in some small cities, small towns. It'll be pretty hard for them to find the professional centers they can have, or special education schools. So maybe the online service will be the unique way, or maybe they will just bring them the hope. So that's what we're going to work with the government to promote the systems to give the help to them. And meanwhile, we're also going to have more centers. As for the technologies, I think the current technologies will be good enough, but the first target for us is to build as many content as we can. Because in Chinese, for example, that we need more contents, like we need to teach them Chinese characters, the words. That will be a huge work to do because we have more and more students. They just grown up, but maybe they cannot reach the level to go to schools, to elementary school. So it will be better for us. We can teach them more, some academic things that we can teach them. So that will just force us to build more content for these students.
Mm-hmm.
And but we will also just try to invite more BCBAs to implement the technologies for research purpose, to make everything be more efficient in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Michael, we're going to have to wrap up here in a little bit, but right now in the US, there are a lot of ABA centers that are deciding how they can move towards a telehealth model while keeping their staff. And some are being forced to lay people off. Some people are losing their jobs. And I was wondering if you had any advice for owners of the ABA centers who may be struggling during this time of uncertainty.
Well, actually, that's the same thing we're facing because the end of last year, we also opened a center, ABA center in Las Vegas. Because, then we have more American professionals can take care of the locals and also for the Chinese parents and also for centers. So we didn't fire anyone either. We also even sent a letter to clinical director and also to all the RBTs that, because in China, we have a famous sentence is that the methods or the ways will be always more than difficulties. So the telehealth, it will be something very good for the families. And meanwhile, we can also see that the US government also passed a bill. Hopefully, the president will sign it soon and also pass the House, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that will also give some financial support to all the employees. And meanwhile, what we know is that technology will help for sure. That's something we have already done. And I do believe that will also work in states as well. And also, what I know is that in states there will be more technology be applied than China actually. And I think everything will be fine pretty soon. That right now is a darkest moment, but we can see great future very very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confident about that.
Mm-hmm. That's reassuring hearing it from someone in China who has passed the storm already.
Yeah, almost passed.
Almost passed. You're seeing some light through the clouds, some sunshine maybe on the other side.
Yes.
All right, Michael, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And please continue your amazing work. I would love to visit UPlus someday and step into
Yes.
one of your 3D rooms.
You are very welcome.
And, I'm sending you strength and courage as you finish out these last couple of weeks and prepare to open your center again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Take care.
Okay, yeah, be safe. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Autism Knows No Borders. If you are one of the many ABA practitioners who are currently learning how to deliver services via telehealth, I hope you found encouragement in listening to Michael's story. You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comment section. Click here to watch another interview from our podcast. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.